ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಶುಭೋದಯ. ಶನಿವಾರದ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೋದ್ಯಮ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಪತ್ರಿಕೋದ್ಯಮದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೇರಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಆರಂಭ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತೆಯರ ಸಂಘದ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅವರ ಸದಸ್ಯರುಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಬಂದು ಸೇರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಪ್ರಸಾರ್ ಜಂಟಿಯಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಆಯೋಜಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನೆಗೆ ನಾವು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಪ್ರಸಾರನ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾದಂಥ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಕುಲ್ ಪರಾಶರ್ ಅವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಸಮಾರಂಭವನ್ನು KSTA ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದಂತಹ ಹಾಗೂ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಹಿರಿಯ ಗುರುಗಳಾದಂತಹ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಯ್ಯಪ್ಪನ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಮೇಶ್ ಅವರಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ಈ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನಾ ಸಮಾರಂಭವನ್ನು ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾನು ಹಾರ್ದಿಕವಾಗಿ ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಶಾಂತಲಾ ಧರ್ಮರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಆನ್ ದ ವೇ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ನ ಕೃಪೆ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಂಗವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಭಾಷಣವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾಡಗೀತೆಯನ್ನು ಹಾಗೆ KSTA ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಿರುಚಿತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಆರಂಭಿಸೋಣ.
ವಿನೂತನ ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ
ಈಗ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಯ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಣಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ಎಂ ರಮೇಶ್ ಅವರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಭಾಷಣ. ರಮೇಶ್.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿ ಕಚೇರಿಗೆ ತಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಕೆಲವರು ಇದೇ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಸಾರಿ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಮುಖಗಳು, ಹಿಂದೆ ಬಂದವರು ಯಾರು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಹುಡುಗರು. At the outset, I would like to welcome all of you to this one-day workshop. We have with us eminent personalities. Before formal welcome, let me briefly tell about KSTA. Karnataka Science and Technology Academy was started in the year 2005 under the chairmanship of Professor U.R. Rao, Padma Vibhushan awardee. He was the former chairman of ISRO and secretary Department of Space. Under his guidance, we worked for 12 years. Then another distinguished space scientist, Dr. S.K. Shivkumar, Padma Shri awardee, was our chairman for a brief period of 1.5 years. Now, eminent agriculture scientist, Professor S. Ayyappan is our chairman. KSTA has been organizing many programs catering to the needs of students studying from high school to the university level. That means we cover entire educational pyramid from high school to pre-university to university level. We have various programs. KSTA has organized more than 32 conferences across the state and many training programs, workshops, special lecture series programs. Karnataka, we organized, we publish a bi-monthly magazine called Vijnana Loka since 2007. It has been regularly being published under the editorship of Dr. P.S. Shankar, a well-known physician and a very good writer. And we have been sending to many colleges and schools across the state free of cost. Now there is a small fees for subscription fees for it, and I am sure some of your colleges must be getting. KSTA also publishes policy, strategy and status papers. We have published nearly 7 to 8 after our Honorable Chairman Professor S. Ayyappan took over. We have fellowship program, Lifetime Achievement Award, and also for PG and PhD scholars we have associateship also with a small fees. And in fact, KSTA has been organizing a large number of programs, and many women and girl students have been participating, and many of the competitions the prize were won by girl students. In fact, today we have less number, otherwise more than 70% will be girls. This particular program is exclusively organized for young budding women journalists. I'm sure it will be also useful to the boys also, those who are aspiring to become journalists. Under the SCOPE program, with the generous support from Dr. Nakul sir, we have been organizing many programs since a couple of years. In fact, because of COVID, there was a little bit of a break. Many of the programs were online. Probably this is the second or third program we have been organizing offline. Otherwise, most of the programs were online. With the receding of COVID, we'll be organizing many offline programs which will be of use to many students and budding journalists in future as well. Today we are organizing Science and Technology Journalism Workshop, and many such programs are planned in the future. Another couple of workshops related to science journalism will be organized, not here, in different parts of the state. Hope this year we'll be able to organize many good programs with the support of Vigyan Prasar in future. And as science and technology journalism, many good women writers are there, and I quote only one. Rachel Carlson, you must be aware, she wrote a book called Silent Spring, which was the forerunner for our environmental movement in the globe. With this, let me welcome Dr. Nakul Parashar sir, Director Vigyan Prasar. A brief overview of his achievements. Sir has done his Masters in Computer Science and Physics, then pursued his doctorate in Applied Physics, then he has worked in academia, then information science, then legal information sector. Sir has been a researcher, active researcher and a teacher, business development leader, operation risk manager. He has worked in many countries across the globe, in North America, Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East and Africa. Before assuming the charge of Director of Vigyan Prasar, he was a Senior Vice President at Electronic Content Management. He has successfully set up 3 startups and taken them to profitability. And Sir has won many awards for his books from UP State and other government agencies. And I am sure with his guidance and generous support, KSTA will be able to organize the scope programs very successfully in future as well. On behalf of KSTA and all of you present here, I welcome Dr. Parashar sir to this meeting. We have with us eminent science writer Dr. ASKS VS Sharma. His initials are very big, so we call him Kollegal Sharma, very simple. On behalf of KSTA, welcome to you, sir. We have our Honorable Chairman, Professor S. Ayappan, Padma Shri Awardee. He was the Director General of ICR and Secretary DARE. Indeed, we are privileged to have sir today for this function. Welcome to you, sir. We have a distinguished space scientist, Deputy Director of ISTRAC, Dr. M.V. Rupa Madam with us. Madam has been associated with KSTA activities. On behalf of KSTA, I welcome you, Madam. We have with us Suchetana Madam from Vijayawani. On behalf of all of you, welcome. And our great supporter and encourager, Dr. Srinidhi is with us. Welcome to you, Dr. Srinidhi. We have teaching faculty from different colleges and students from Ramaya College, Surana College, Seshadripuram and NMKRV. On behalf of KSTA, I welcome you all to this half-a-day workshop. I'm sure you are going to listen to best science writers in Kannada. Best science writers in Kannada, and we are very grateful and fortunate to have the association of Karnataka Women Journalists Association, Bengaluru. In fact, chairperson of the association, Srimati Shantala Dharmaraj, will be arriving shortly. On behalf of all of you, in her absence, I welcome Madam to this function. So, after the inaugural, we have a tea break, and after the program, we'll be having lunch break, and after that, mostly we will be dispersing. On behalf of all of you, once again, welcome all the dignitaries to this half-a-day program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh. Now we have the pleasant duty of inaugurating the workshop. I request Dr. Nakul Parashar and Professor Ayappan and Dr. Ramesh to kindly inaugurate the seminar by watering the plant.
ಮೇಡಮ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ಶ್ರೀನಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಶ್ರೀನಿದೆ student representative also can come.
Any of you? You are partial. Clapping only for her.
Thank you very much. Sir.
Incidentally, tomorrow is the World Environment Day.
Yes.
So we are watering it one day before.
No. Oh, I see. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have Kutuali has been associated with the KSTA for almost 1.5 years, and during the past 1 year, the tremendous support that the KSTA under the leadership of Professor Ayappan has given is something that we cherish always. And Kutuali has been organizing workshops, organizing training programs, publishing a magazine also. So the magazine called Kutuhali in Kannada is now online, and one of the things that we want to do here is to actually have a feel of the magazine, and therefore I request the chief dignitaries to kindly I would not say that present the magazine here, so I would only say that please inaugurate the June issue of the magazine. And KSTA has been extremely supporting to us, because usually these kind of programs start with a MOU. So it has been quite some time for us to get together to exchange an MOU or anything, but instead of, or in spite of that, KSTA has supported us for the last 1 year and taken us through organizing many programs. But now I take this opportunity to request Dr. Nakul Parashar and Professor Ayappan to formally exchange the MOU that is between the two organizations. Okay. So may I now request Dr. Nakul Parashar, Chief Guest of today, to address the audience.
Namaskara, respected Professor Ayappan, Dr. Ramesh ji, Sharma ji, Madam uh, uh, Rupa, Madam Sujetna ji, Srinidhi ji, all of our young students from different colleges who have come here. And I guess most of you are from journalism and mass communication. And this makes very important for all of us to understand how important is science and technology, journalism in the whole mix of things. Normally, what has happened over a period of time, we have all been watching serious decline in the kind of coverage in print, electronic, social, and digital media of science and technology. The prime reason has been that our scientists who were supposed to tell the world what they are doing, how it is important for the society, has not been there for reasons galore, because either they were too busy with their research, or secondly they were too focused into what they were doing. As a result, what they wanted to tell the masses became very difficult for them. I remember having seen a lot of senior scientists, professors, and people of high eminence unable to speak in front of the camera. Now, you all people have been trained to speak in front of camera. You've been trained how to write. You've been trained how to tell stories and make stories and make it interesting for for your readers. You know how a dry and drab news item can be made interesting. That is being taught to you. The same thing is now needs to be taught to scientists, but in order to do so, if we ask them to do so, they find it very difficult. They say either we do our job or either we write the stories. As a result, for whatever these scientists, researchers, scholars all over the place do, we as so-called science journalists, people who have understood this, need to understand the nuances of science and technology journalism and make things simpler, easier, and interesting for the masses. Secondly, there has because of this gap that has emerged, science and technology is normally conceived as very dry and drab in our society. Unlike what we see in the West, there is a different kind of liking, interest besides fiction and others about science and technology. The reason behind it is the use of technology to make things simpler, easier, interesting for the masses is very important. So out here also, but the basis of all of this is the content, the script that you write. And in order to understand how important it is, how easier it can be made, it's not that you need to understand science, but you need to understand the logic behind it and try to weave a story which your audience will be able to understand. So, with whatever resources, limited resources that we have in our country, despite the fact that we have made lot of strides in science and technology, particularly in science communication, we still have lot of content which needs to be put into a format which our people should understand. Thanks to, I won't say, it looks very bad on my part to say that thanks to COVID, but over these 2 years, the entire country had been looking towards scientists. They've been looking like farmers in the skies for the monsoon. Similarly, all of us have been looking for scientists, when would the vaccines come. So this has created some kind of a interest in the masses about it. Of course, with new technology, new tools that we have, if we can tell them how to be more smarter. Like, for example, we keep hearing that our generation older than my generation saying that, oh, my grandson is much smarter than anybody. So with all of this, there are a lot of avenues, there are a lot of areas where we can certainly, try our hands and take forward. Now, with all of this having said, for students like you, it becomes something becomes very much a big question. What are the avenues for me if once I complete my course in journalism, masters or bachelor's, would I just land up doing this print, electronic, regular media? But for science and technology, over the last three and a half years, we at the Government of India have tried a lot to create new avenues in science and technology journalism. We have a huge population. We have number of science and technology institutes. We have number of colleges, universities that produces mass number of students, science and technology. So that is a big segment that needs to be catered to. Right? They need information. They need regular news to be fed with. Of course, we have internet, they can go search, but if it isn't interesting, nobody cares to read it. As a result, it becomes much more interesting, and the responsibility for all of you to actually fill that gap becomes much larger. So going back to what I said about 3.5 years ago, since last 3.5 years ago, we've been trying to create new revenues for people in science and technology, communication, popularization, and its extension. Please forgive me, I grew up in an agriculture university. That is where I picked up the word extension. And extension means outreach to many of us. Extension means, kind of mass appeal, mass reach, so and so forth. So in these areas, every state, we are now pushing them to create at least 2 to 3 positions in each organization to gather information, convert them into stories, and provide it to whatever these 4 media that I've spoken about. All these newspapers that we have seen in the past used to have a science page. That has gone. Forgive me. Similarly, we had magazines. Thank you. We had magazines like Science Today, which used to be published by Bennett and Coleman, the Times of India group. We had number of these magazines, but they have all gone. Why have they gone? Because it's not because the interest for print media has gone zero, but it is about the stories that were being produced. Now we all know that today the attention period is too little. Anything more than a minute or so, you don't read it, you pass it to somebody else. And on the lighter side, I am a victim at home when my wife passes all these big videos and things which she doesn't want to watch. But interestingly, what I found is, since she is also a science teacher, she passes on those all science material to me, and I pull it out, take it back to my office where we work in science, journalism, communication, creating all these products. We use them and we do that. And with this, India has so much of, got a lot of opportunities, particularly with so many languages. Now, for example, Kannada. Within Kannada, we have so many dialects, we have so many places, and we have so many scientific institutions. Where what we are trying to do is we're writing to state governments, we're writing to S&T councils, we are writing to academies, we're writing to all of them. And we are asking them that as a mandatory, because we need to have science content available for the masses. We need science content available for the syndicate, for the media syndicate. So in order to do that, what we are looking for, we are looking for people like you, youngsters like you, who can write well, who can perceive well, and content is king. So if you write well, if the script is good, the product can still be, even if you have glitches in making it the last wrap up, but if the content is good, people will go for it. And when people go for it, we'll be able to convince all these big newspaper owners to get started with a page on science and technology. We're enforcing them to bring out at least 1 or 2 feature articles in every newspaper all over the country. So imagine if Karnataka produces more than 100 newspapers or magazines, right, 400. So if that is 400 multiplied by about 20, 23, 24 major states that we have. So that's going to be a huge number. And for each of them, right, even if we have 1 or 2 people, we had that many positions available. So it's not that I'm trying to push towards science and technology journalism, but the thing good about science and technology journalism is that you have lot of content that gets generated every day. And similarly, and that shelf life of what you produce, most of them is longer than what you go and write for normal news items. Besides this, over a period of time, we have seen a lot of events happening in this direction, right? So with all of this happening, why I'm trying to say this is there that there is a huge opportunity in science and technology, and especially for young students like you. And with so many problems that we have, that science and technology at the moment is coming up, right? It's time for us to do that. I would request all of you to visit Government of India. It's not the Government of India, but it's a DST, Department of Science and Technology's May 2022 document called Scientific Social Responsibility. We have all heard of corporate social responsibility. Similarly, there is something called scientific social responsibility. And more than the scientist performing the scientific social responsibility, it is youngsters, people from mass communication and journalism, to imbibe scope, which is science, communication, popularization and extension. Science and technology. Technology has to be there always. Science and technology, communication, popularization and extension. So if you, don this scope, I'm sure you'll find a niche for yourself. You'll move into this area, and who knows, you would be in a year or two's time, you would have so many bylines that you would have had struggled to get in a normal newspaper or a TV channel to get one. So this is an opportunity. Second opportunity that I'm talking of. I wore this t-shirt deliberately today because we run India's first science and technology OTT channel. I'm sure you're all aware of OTT. You know Amazon Prime, you know Netflix, you know Hotstar, you know Disney, you know all that. Similarly, Net Geo, Discovery, these are all DTH channels. But from the Indian perspective, there is only one and one called indiascience.in. So before you leave, this is for as a part of your, what you're doing, the area that you're pursuing, the career that you're pursuing. I would request all of you on your smartphones. It's free, just download it. And there is a repository of 3,500 films which we have developed, which we have produced in last 3 years, breaking the Bollywood records. So my request would be, if you look at them, and this channel has all sorts, all genre of different films that you can think of. We have as long as 24 minutes, as short as 1 minute. We have interviews, we have regular documentaries, we have films on events, we have films of eminent people that we have done. We have done films on Professor U.R. Rao and others as well. So there's so much of content which is freely available. Now, when you have so much of content freely available, you have opportunities to repurpose it. You have opportunities to rewrite them. So what I would suggest is, if you find it interesting, and as a practice that you get, or as a place that you want to write, you have a magazine here called Kutuhali, which is always welcomes all of you to write. And even if it is a small letter to editor, right? If it gets published and you get a byline, that's where you start. Way back when I was in school, I used to write letters to the editor of Science Today. But I didn't know that after my schooling, after my college, I would land up in Council of Scientific and Industrial Research Organization, which is now called NISPAR. It used to be called Publications and Information Directorate, where Sharmaji and I used to work together. That the editor of Science Today, to whom I used to write letter, would become my boss, Dr. G.P. Phonke. So this is a secret which I never told you. But this is how you start. And if you look at journals, there are 24 publication item types. There are full-length articles, there are book reviews, there are so and so forth, in which letter to editor is also a kind of publication item type. So please do not, as students of mass communication and journalism, please do not dread, please do not fret, please do not fear about that if I write a letter, it has no value. It also helps you, add to your list of what you publish, right? There are short communications also. Similarly, in popular science magazines, journals, you have these short communications as well. So I'm not here to deliberate upon various aspects of it. My purpose out here is to create and tell you that the world is fast opening up in the area of science and technology communication, for that matter. And if you really want to do something, you can certainly become a science journalist. And frankly speaking, it is always nice to venture into a field where there is less competition, right? And in science communication, there is absolutely very little competition. NDTV, Z, all these media houses actually look for science journalists who can write, who can talk, who can speak, who can cover and do that. We know, we've heard of people like Pallav Bagla, where Sharmaji, myself, Pallav Bagla, Hassan Javed Khan, 4 of us used to work together at the same time, right? So I know it takes time, it takes strength to stand and do that, but this is a time where you can certainly do this. And not only this, not only in our country as well. Now that COVID has broken the barriers, geographical barriers, you can certainly find same opportunities across the national boundaries. And for that matter, I tell you, there are countries where Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka and others have come up with opportunities in these areas as well. So you don't have to go there to be a journalist there. You can start writing, start getting your bylines in these papers, and who knows, tomorrow you might be a managing editor of those news agencies. Now, we all know about Al Jazeera, we all know about Gulf Times, right, and all these. So there are similar opportunities in the GCC countries also. Move a little ahead, you have still North Africa has lot of these countries where English is a language which we have, have that advantage, which is a much more stronger advantage than people in those places who can do that. Similarly, because our understanding of science, technology, and the vision that we have, it's not that I'm talking about any racial discrimination, but yes, we should be proud that the kind of system, no matter how much we criticize the system, but our foundations are stronger and we can outsmart others. Southeast Asia is another area, because your audition, your diction, your thinking process, your course curriculum, everything gives you a lot of opportunities to do this. And also never fear that my pronunciation, my accent, my mother tongue influences, my MTI is very strong. Forget about it. Today everything has become agnostic, and if you see all these multinational science agencies, they welcome people from our country. There were times when we were not accepted, but today we are in high demand, and this is the time what you can do, and particularly again back to science and technology communication, because there are very few takers in these areas and there are very few people who can do this. In order to do this, at Department of Science and Technology, it's for PhD scholars. Why we are trying to do that? We are creating a program called AWSAR, AWSAR, Articulating Writing Skills for Augmenting Scientific Research, which means whatever they do in the lab, if we ask them to do this, they are unable to tell people. So we have started a competition. We do training workshops to do that. Similar training workshops we are trying to do for people in science, journalism and mass communication all over the country, and I'm glad that Karnataka Science and Technology Academy, for that matter, gave us that support, rousing welcome, and gave us that encouragement to come and take it in and do it in our proud mother tongue, Kannada here, and to do it in a very strong manner. I feel very happy, very elated, and I have these goosebumps when I see the kind of passion, particularly for our mother tongue, to do that. Karnataka, for that matter, is a huge state with so many dialects. There are humongous opportunities to explain science. But please remember, do not dilute the sense of science. Make it very communicative, nice, with lot of examples, idioms, phrases, but use them rightly. And I'm sure your articles, whatever you write, will certainly make you stronger. I've been a working journalist 2A with the India Today group of magazines for a long time. And that is where there were lot of nuances which schools of mass communication journalism don't teach. So there are certain things that we all learn by virtue of experience. Exactly like what we do in legal business, exactly like what we do in medicine, right? So please hang on or hook on and talk to people like Kolegal Sharma, talk to people like Rupa Madam, Suchirna Madam, Srinidhi ji and others, and you will find that there are a lot of examples. There's a very close colleague of mine, Dr. T.V. Venkateshwar, and is overseas nowadays. He was here, and he was a regular part of our workshops here. So these people have, over a period of time, by virtue of experience, gained immense experience, knowledge, and examples. Because when you have to tell a student of mass communication and journalism, you need to have as many as examples to do that. And in your writings, in your script, if you have too many examples, it makes your communication with your reader, with your audience, much more stronger. I was assistant editor with a Popular Science Hindi magazine, counterpart of what he used to work. He used to work with Science Reporter. I used to work with Vigyan Pragati. But I remember receiving these many postcards every month that I had to answer. And some of them we had to give them prize. But that gave me a lot of insight into doing this. So whenever you get a feedback, which nowadays we call as UIX, your user experience. So if you have a very strong user experience, your writing will improve, your scripts will become stronger, but you might find me reiterating, nagging, or saying again, there's opportunity in science and technology journalism. Look for it and you'll find places. We at Vigyan Prasar in Delhi, we keep on advertising different projects that we have. We have a project at the moment. You all know Rajya Sabha TV, Lok Sabha TV, but that has been merged now. It is called Sansad TV. Now Sansad TV wants to do a 52 episode science program. So we've called it as Tamso Ma Jyotirgamay, and we've gotten started, for which we need youngsters. The only thing that we would need is, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles that you have published in science and technology, you can apply for it, you can find a job there. Similarly, we have this science channel which I said, India Science. That is where you have an opportunity. With India Science, we have another program called Engage with Science. Engage with Science is for taking science to schools. You've all seen Three Idiots. There's an actor called Sharman Joshi. He saw our films, he got attracted, he said, I'll become a free ambassador. We organize science film festivals every year. So we need people like you to take science film festivals to the larger level. Science film festivals, again to interest you, we have people like Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar and others who become ambassadors for it. Right? Back, we have magazines. We have not only have one, but we have 20 magazines as of now, different languages. If by any chance Kannada is not your language, and if you have another language, you're welcome to take up and read it. Telugu, we do Vijnanavani. Tamil, we do Arivel Palagai. Marathi, we do Vigyan Vishwa. Bengali, we do Vigyan Katha. Gujarati, we do Jigyasa. Punjabi, we do Jigyasa. Urdu, we do Tajassus. Kashmiri, we do Gash. Maithili, we do Vigyan Ratnakar. Assamese, we do Sandhan. So these are there are humongous opportunities. We look for people who can come join us to begin with as project associates, and then gradually get a permanent position in the project as we move along. So why I'm here, I'm not trying to sell this. I'm trying to tell you and make you aware of that besides your Deccan Chronicle, your Indian Express, your Times of India, your Hindustan Times, there is a lot of big world besides this as well, right? So India Science is one where we have a lot of opportunities as well. OTT channels, we have a lot of opportunities as well, right? And then also, please, as I said, in medicine law, we look for experience to help support us. Find people like who've been writing, and if you don't need to be physically with them, you don't need to be in proximity with them. You can write to them, you can interact with them, and you can find yourself. I mean, forgive me to take you there, but you might become Ekalavyas of that Dronacharya who has been a towering figure in this, and no matter, tomorrow you yourself would become a Dronacharya for others. So there will be a sense of accomplishment, not only monetarily, not only position wise, but also a satisfaction that you have done something. And much beyond what large companies do as a corporate social responsibility, you have done something called scientific social responsibility. So when you go from this world, you feel accomplished. Anyway, you got a lot of time, sorry. Right. So with all of this, I can go on and on because I have been a teacher at the College of Engineering, and normally 40 minutes up until they're over, I don't leave the mic. But today I think it's time for me to leave it with only one message, that on the horizon you find a new awakening, you find a new light coming your way. Take it up and, be a leader in that area by what you write, by what you produce, by what you broadcast, by what you telecast. When I said broadcast, we have opportunities, regular opportunities of writing scripts for radio programs. For All India Radio, we have a 52 episode which is coming up on self-reliance, right? You can write and work closely, and you're fortunate enough that Dr. Rupa is here. You could interact with her. She's our Kannada specialist for that. Similarly, we all know community radio as well. With Sharmaji, we've embarking upon a new area of community radio. And you write your productions, if they are heard, they are broadcast, you feel very happy, you get recognized, you can resort. When you go for interviews, you can show it, you have already so much of back. When I first applied for a assistant editor position from a teacher of college, by the time I had a small, in those days we used to call as attache, that Babu VIP bags, we used to keep. So I took that and showed it. That was good enough. Half of the battle was won in the interview, right? So these are tips that nobody, because the fact of the pudding lies in eating. So unless you show that, that is very important. So go on and on, we could do this. Be sahaj, be natural, be at your pace, but keep thinking about how you can convert what you have seen. A COVID vaccine have spun off so many stories, right? And a lot of these angles, that angles, this, that, you can do that, right? Give that a scientific touch and find yourself into the league of so-called Pallav Bagla, Sharmas, and people who've been in that area. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for hearing me so patiently. Truly appreciate it. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Dr. Nakul. And that shows where the science communication and journalism has the scope. I have the pleasant duty now of inviting Dr. Shantala Dharmaraj, the president of, chairperson of Karnataka Women Journalists Association, to the dais. Welcome, madam. And we also have Dr. Priyanka Pula here, and I also invite her. Thank you.
I'm not a doctor, right?
No, it's okay. So we now have, I now request Professor Ayyappan, who is chairing this session, to give his presidential address. Professor Ayyappan, please.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ಈ KSTA ಸಭಾಂಗಣಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಯಾರಿಗಾರು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ವಾ? It will be a hybrid meeting. So once again, thank you, greetings, welcome to you. Very esteemed chief guest of today's program, Dr. Nakul Parashar, Director of Vigyan Prasar, New Delhi. And we have Srimati Dharmaraj with us, who is the President of the Karnataka Women Journalists Association. We have Dr. Kollegal Sharma, who is the key person for today's event, Scope Kutuhali Coordinator, based in Mysore, Bangalore, Karnataka. My colleague Dr. M. Ramesh, CEO of the KSTA. Very esteemed speakers with us, Dr. M. V. Rupa, DGM of the STRAC, Madam Suchetana Naik, Chief Sub-Editor of the Vijayavani, Dr. Pulla, welcome to Madam Pulla to you, and known science writer Shri Srinidhi, ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಹೋದ್ಯೋಗಿಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ KSTಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಮತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಂದ ಬಂದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್. To all of you, thank you very much for this meeting. To all of you, thank you very much for this meeting. I'd like to thank Dr. Nakul Parasarji, who has come all the way from Delhi, and his scholarly talk of inaugural address, where he brought out several opportunities, several avenues, several dimensions in science journalism. I'm sure by now half of you have got converted into science journalism. How many of you have been writing in English, Kannada, whatever? ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಇವಾಗ? ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಇವಾಗ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಬರೀತಾ? ಈಗ ಲೆಟರ್ ಟು ದ ಎಡಿಟರ್, ಲೆಟರ್ ಟು ದ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಇಟ್ ಸರ್. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರು ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಲೆಟರ್ ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಒಂದು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಲೆಟ್ರು. ಅದು ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರಕಟ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ, ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಹಳೆಯದು, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ, ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ, ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಶೋ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಸೊವೆನೀರ್. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪರಶರ್ಜಿ, ಆಸ್ ಯು ಸೆಡ್, ದ ಲೆಟರ್ ಟು ದ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈ ನೇಮ್, ಅವಾಗ ಎಸ್ ಅಯ್ಯಪ್ಪನ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಂತ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಮಗೊಂದೊಂದು ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಥರ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬಿನ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಓನ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್? ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಯು? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ರಿಟನ್? COVID Times, very good. In your college magazine, NMKRV magazine. How many times? Once, twice? Twice. So you... Oh, wonderful. So you are very happy. Your family must be happy. So nice. So this is what, the pride of, writing something. Because as Dr. Parashar said, we all would like to leave something behind, wherever we are. In our college, after you leave the college, 3 years, when you go back, or when you just think back, you would like to know what you have left back in the college, which has given you so much. So in terms of something, it could be an art piece, a painting, an article, whatever, maybe a drama that you have enacted. So it goes on and on and on, isn't it? So do you feel pride in doing such things? Creativity, anything to do, anything to be creative in different forms. It need not be only writing. But today what we are here is for looking at journalism. And as Dr. Parashar said, we are interested, we are concerned, we are worried, because today much of the paper, 80%, I don't know how much percentage, but IPL takes away, I don't know how much space. Fortunately, it is over 5 days back or 6 days back, whatever. So IPL. Then all that, KGF2, all that, I don't know how much space it will take away. Then next is all that, happens here in between Vidhan Saudha and whatever politics. It takes well, alva madam? And then, so ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರವಚನಗಳು, ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯ, ಅದು ಇದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು. ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಬರೋ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಪಾಪ ಎಡಿಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಜಾಗನೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಪೇಪರಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾಳೆ ನೋಡೋಣ ಅಂತ. We'll see tomorrow for science and technology. That tomorrow never comes, unfortunately. So then earlier, at least, as sir said and all that, We used to have a regular S&T column, technology. In fact, we used to look for technology in a column. It used to be there. Amele it became a weekly. At least once a week we would read. Amele once in a Science Day, we celebrate something called Science Day. When is the Science Day incidentally? February 28th. Why is it? Why is it? We are all in Bangalore. Nobody, no college student in Bangalore can say he or she does not know why Science Day is celebrated, particularly in Bangalore. Indian Institute of Science. Salpa dura, little further from there. You have almost gone there, another 3 kilometers. What is there from another? ISRO is this side. Okay, madam is happy. Towards that side, make a circle. Okay. Raman, something like Raman Research Institute. So then you know who is Raman, then C.V. Raman, then Sir C.V. Raman, then Bharat Ratna, Sir C.V. Raman, then Raman effect, all that, Is it okay? So Raman sir described his Raman effect in Central College in Bangalore, which is only another 8 kilometers from Tata Institute, Indian Institute of Science, on a blackboard. So in 1930 he also got the Nobel. How can we say we are all in Bangalore? We can not say why Science Day is celebrated on 20 if we don't know. So Bharat kutkoli saku. So Science Day. So Science Day. Technology Day. Another headache. One is Science Day. That was itself enough. But then another Technology Day came. What is that? Only last month we celebrated Technology Day. Of course, everybody did not know. May 11th, Technology Day, because it was the day of the Pokhran explosion conducted by Dr. Chidambaram, late Dr. Abdul Kalam ji, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, late Abdul Vajpayee ji, all of them were present in that village in Rajasthan. So May 11th was Technology Day. Anyway, these are all days, it goes on. But the point is, why we are requesting you to do this is, in fact, we come to this meeting, we go to a college, we go to a degree course. All of us keep asking, what do I get from it? I am not interested in, learning, writing poetry for poetry's sake, philosophy, all that. Today I want a job, right? Am I right? Am I right? Now, at the end of the day, when you go home, ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ಏನು ಬಂತು ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಏನೋ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಪ್ಪ ನಮಗಂತೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಲಿ ನಾವು ಬಂದ್ವಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಕಾಫಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಇಡ್ಲಿ ವಡೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಊಟ ಆಯಿತು ಆಮೇಲೇನೋ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಬಂದ್ವಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ದೂರಪ್ಪ ಭಾಳ ದೂರ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ತಾನೆ ಇವತ್ತು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಖಂಡಿತ ಆಗತ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿನೂ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಯಾರ್ದಾದ್ರು ಮನೇಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ? ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮನ ಜೊತೆ ಅಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನಾನು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಯಾವತ್ತರ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಇವತ್ತು? ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಶಾಕ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಏನಾಯಿತು ಇವತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದು ಈ ಥರ. ನೋ, ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಎಟ್ ದಿ ಡೈನಿಂಗ್ ಟೇಬಲ್, ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ಡ್ ಎಟ್ ದ ರೆಸ್ಟೋರೆಂಟ್ಸ್, science to be discussed, I don't want to say, but in pubs also nowadays, to be discussed, to be read, to be written, to be seen. Is it interesting? ಅಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಿ? See, whoever is useful to us, we worship. Do we worship or not? Whenever somebody helps us, our parents, no, we can't really pay back what they have given us, so we worship, right? God we worship because God helps us, right? Howda? God guides us, God helps us, so we worship. But science and technology, forget worshipping. Why don't we even discuss on that? As Dr. Parashar said, whatever is happening today, at least apparently, is due to science and technology. Howda ilva? ಈಗ ಕೋವಿಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಗಾಡ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು, ಐ ಆಮ್ ವೆರಿ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. There is no confusion between religion and science. The nature, you worship nature, it is religion. You analyze nature, that is science. That's all, very simple. In a journalism, I would like to request madam to convey this, because in society there is apparent conflict between religion and science. No, absolutely, it is the same nature that we adore, that is religion. The same nature that we analyze, we would like to know why it's happening. That is science. That's all. There is absolutely no confusion. It's all being made up. So what we would like to, particularly at this age, this is the formative age and this is the transformational age, and whatever you read today, whatever you write today, reading is easy, but writing is difficult. Why? Reading, you just read what is printed, what is given to you. Writing, you have to somewhere absorb, assimilate, analyze, synthesize. Then you have to ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬರಿಬೇಕು. So ನೀವು 4 ಲೈನ್ ಬರೆದ್ರುವೆ, that shows your entire personality. ಹೌದಾ? Is it right? Because 4 ಲೈನ್ ಬರೆಯೋದು is so difficult. We can read 2 pages in 5 minutes. But to write 4 lines, you have to think again and again. Madam, I'm sure Madam Dharmaraj will agree. I don't know, you must be conducting these kind of workshops for your budding writers. So thank you very much for joining this effort of Kutuhali Scope. You must have read Kutuhali magazine, madam. ನಾನು ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು ಕುತೂಹಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ಝಿನ್ ನೀವು ಓದಬೇಕು. ಓದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಯಾರಾದರೂ? ಇವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನಿಕ್ ವರ್ಷನಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೀವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗಾಗಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್, ಒಂದು ಅಧ್ಯಾಯ, ಒಂದೊಂದು ಪುಟ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕುತೂಹಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದರ ಹೆಸರು ಕುತೂಹಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಕುತೂಹಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಾಸಿಟಿ. ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಾಸಿಟಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? Curiosity, you would like to know something. Now that is my problem. Why should I know something? Everybody is quantified in money today, nowadays. Why should I know if I don't know what happens? Ignorance is bliss. ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. So why should I unnecessarily break my head in knowing things? So why should you know? Why should you know science, for example? Why? That why is important, because once you keep on understanding. I would like to repeat an anecdote a farmer friend told me, which is a repetition. Last time also I had told this. He asked me, what is information, what is knowledge, and what is wisdom? Simple things: information, knowledge, wisdom. ನೀವು ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ, ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರ ಹತ್ರ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಸ್ಮಾರ್ಟ್ ಫೋನ್ ನೋಡಿದೆ, ಬೆಳಗಿಂದ ಅದೇ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ ಫೋನು? ಎಲ್ಲರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಇದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಹತ್ರ 2 ಫೋನ್ ಇದೆ? ಅಂದರೆ ಒಬ್ಬರ ಹತ್ರ 2 ಫೋನ್ ನೋಡಿದೆ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ. 2 ಫೋನ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಯಾರ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆಯಮ್ಮ 2 ಫೋನು? ಅದೇ ಎನಿವೆ, ನೀವು ಗೂಗಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ದ ವೇ ಹಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ಡ್ ವಾಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ಹಿ ಸೆಡ್, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಯುವರ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್ಸ್. ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಈಸ್ ಎಡಿಬಲ್. ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಈಟನ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ನಾವು ತಿನ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್, ಮಾಹಿತಿ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಜನರಲ್, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತು. ಗಾಡೀಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾರ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಈಸ್ ಈಟಬಲ್. ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಫ್ರೂಟ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ವೆಜಿಟಬಲ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ knowledge. Because many people we don't know, because we use it in sambar, we use it in ellaru tarkari. So don't mistake it for because again fruit and vegetable, it is different. Inflorescence itself is fruit and the part of the plant is vegetable. Don't go into detail. So he said that is knowledge. Tomato is a fruit, but don't use it in fruit salad. That is wisdom. So that is very simple. So friends, this kind of rustic knowledge ಅಂದರೆ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಂಪ್ರದಾಯಿಕ ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನ ಏನು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ವಿ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಇಗ್ನೋರ್. ಐ ಮೀನ್ ವೈ ಆಮ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ you must be coming from different parts of Karnataka or maybe different states and so on. Now the kind of background each of you have is very different. Kind of insights you bring are very different. That's where when Dr. Parashar said we have 52 episodes of Samsat TV and opportunities for youngsters and all that. Now all of us, we are about 50, 60 people sitting in this auditorium. Now you tell us the same topic, I would view it very differently. It is from my background, my knowledge, my context, my childhood, my upbringing, I mean all that matters, my family background, each of us. Now that is where is the beauty of variety in journalism. Otherwise, it could have been a class. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈ ಥರ ಬರೀರಿ ಅಂತ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಶೂರ್ ಸುಚೇತನ ನಾಯಕನು ವುಡ್ ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಟ್. ನಮಗೆ ಸೇಮ್ ವಿಷಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಬರೆಯೋ ಥರ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಶೀರ್ಷಿಕೆಗಳು ಕೊಡೋದೇ ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಟೈಟಲ್ಗಳು ಕೊಡೋದೇ ಬೇರೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ವಿ ವುಡ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ಚರ್, ದಟ್ ವೆರೈಟಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ವೇ ಯು ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ನಾವು ಐ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್, ವೈ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್? ವೈ? ಸೊ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟುಡೇ ಆನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಷನ್. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ಗೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ವೆರಿ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ಫುಲ್ ಟು thousands of scientists, thousands of doctors, thousands of nurses, all that. That is one episode. So if the nature has given us so much, with us, then should we not understand, appreciate, recognize, bow down, worship, thank this nature? And that process of thanking is science. It's not that it's very different from what you are doing. You are an art student, you are a commerce student, you are not a science student, so you should not understand science. No, these are all gone. Today, everybody, every human being, to survive has to have, as was mentioned briefly, food, agriculture, health for survival, then skills for industry, then all that aesthetic, beauty, adella amel barta hogutte. So for a complete human being, it's very necessary that we understand nature. And science is a tool. Technology is another approach for understanding. Technology is aiding us for every day from morning till evening. If you only think 5 minutes, if you just think how our lives are so different from my grandfathers and grandmothers life, it's so very different. And what has changed? The technology has changed our lives. ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ನಾನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಬೇಡಿ. ಹೌದಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಹೂನಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ. ಎಸ್ ಸರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಪ್ರಸಾರ. ಎಸ್ಸಾ? ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿಂದ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಬರೀತೀರಾ ನೋಡಿ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ವಿಲ್ ಯು ರೈಟ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್? ಓನ್ಲಿ 5 people. So what is to be done? No, see, till you, Madam Mrs. Dharmaraj, I'm sure you would. You have opportunity, you have platforms, you have magazines and all that. So our interest is the science science spreads everywhere. As Sir said, 400 newspapers, 1,000 TV channels. Even in Karnataka, the number of TV channels that go around in different forms, OTT and all that. No, it's all good. Entertainment is absolutely the requirement. Recreation is the requirement. But in that, can we put a dose of science? Can we put a kind of an appreciation course for science? For that, we can't do it alone. One DST, one KSTA, impossible. Now we see the efforts of some of these people like Dr. Sharma. Not enough. I mean, we can only start, trigger. But what we require is the youth. Who first of all understand, they are convinced that yes, science and technology is important for today's lives and the future. Many of us sitting on, at least I am a very old man by now, but then the next 50 years is going to be a very, very challenging one in terms of climate change, in terms of natural resources, in terms of human population, in terms of competitive society, all that. So unless you all become very innovative, now that's another word, science, technology and innovation. Science and technology provide you tools. Innovation is your own urge to do something new, leave back something valuable for the next one. And that participation and that stakeholdership and that partnership, if you don't take all that, survival will become very difficult. And that's why it's this kind of a stimulation workshop. I don't say that this workshop would immediately bring out wonders, but then it's a stimulation workshop that it will keep you. If you start thinking about it, we are done. We are very fine. With these words, once again, I'd like to thank the chief guest, Dr. Nakul Parasharji, Madam Srimati Dharmaraj, for making it to this program, and then. Maybe today, because of technology, maybe you got stuck in the traffic. Earlier, we used to come very fast. And today, I believe there are about 90 lakh people in Bangalore and about 95 lakh vehicles. That's the latest statistics. So in that given. But then tomorrow, solutions again will come from technology. You might have, Madam Dr. Rupa might tell, maybe satellite managed roads, traffic, all that might. So for every challenge, there is a solution in technology. That's how we have to see. We have to grow with science and appreciate science. And then that's where, I'd like to thank you, Madam, for associating in this very noble endeavor. And thanks to all the esteemed resource speakers. In fact, you have to listen to them. I would also like to listen to them. And to Dr. Sharma for making it possible, for making this happen in the academy. I'd like to thank Dr. Ramesh, CEO, and all the colleagues here. And from each one of you, a pledge at the end of the day, at the end of, not the day, at 2 o'clock, already some of you might have booked some ticket at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock somewhere else in Bangalore, being a Saturday evening. But then a pledge that in the course of this year, between June 4th, 22 to December 31st, 22, you will write one article, one science article. Baritira? Kannada, English, Hindi, Telugu, whatever language, one science article of your choice to be sent to Dr. Sharma before 31st December 2022, 5 p.m. Is it okay? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ayyappan. As always, you have been very enthusiastic and lifting our spirits. So I think if I get a few articles by December, that will be very good, and more if I can get in July. Okay, so ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೇಖನಗಳನ್ನು ಕುತೂಹಲಿಗೆ ಕಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಹ್ವಾನಿಸ್ತಾ, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಕೈ ಜೋಡಿಸಿ ನಿಂತಿರುವಂತಹ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತೆಯರ ಸಂಘದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷೆಯಾದಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಶಾಂತಲಾ ಧರ್ಮರಾಜ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಕೊನೆಯ ಒಂದು ಅಂಗವಾಗಿ ಸಮಾರೋಪವಾಗಿ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಪ್ರಸ್ತಾವವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಒಂದು ವರದಿಗಾರಿಕೆ ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತಾವು ಮಕ್ಕಳೆಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿರೋದು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ನೋಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಇದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈ ಭಾರತೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭವನ ಅಂತ ಕಡೆ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಆಡಿಟೋರಿಯಂ ದಾಟಿ ಜನ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರ ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಹಾಗಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಒಂದು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾನು ನಕುಲ್ ಪರಾಶರ್ ಸರ್ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ಬಂದೆ, ನನಗೆ ಆ ಭಾಷಣ ಯಾಕೆ ಮುಗಿದೋಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು. ಇನ್ನೂ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು ತಿಳಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಒಂದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಯ್ಯಪ್ಪನ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಈಗ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಕಾಲದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಗಮನಿಸ್ತಿರೋದು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ ಒಂದು ಚೌಕಟ್ಟನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ವರದಿಗಾರಿಕೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಲೇಖನ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದಕ್ಕೂ ಅದರ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ, ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನೊಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನಾನು ಸಂಯುಕ್ತ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಸ್ತೂರಿ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಡೈಜೆಸ್ಟನ್ನ ಇನ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಬುಕ್ ಡೇದು ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಲೇಖನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಬುಕ್ ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಏನು ತಿಳಿತೀವಿ, ಲಿಟ್ರರಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿ ಪುಸ್ತಕ, ಅದೇ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ಝಿನ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಓದುವ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಆ ಓದುವ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಯನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆದುಳಿನ ಬಲಭಾಗ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆದುಳಿನ ಎಡಭಾಗ ಏನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಓದೋದ್ರಿಂದನ, ಕೇಳೋದ್ರಿಂದನ, ನೋಡೋದ್ರಿಂದನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಶ್ಲೇಷಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ರೀಡರ್ಸಿಂದ ನೂಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕಾರ್ನರ್ ಆಫ್ ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗದು ಆ ಪ್ರತಿಕ್ರಿಯೆ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಜನರಿಗೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಆರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಲಿಟ್ರಸಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಹುಡುಗಿಯರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ನಾನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕಳೆದ ತಿಂಗಳು ನಾವು ಡಿಜಿಟಲ್ ಲಿಟ್ರಸಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮಹಿಳಾ ಬಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋರು ಇದಾರಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನದ ಒಂದು ತಳಹದಿನೂ ಬೇಕು, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅದರ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆನೂ ನಾವು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. ಅವಾಗಷ್ಟೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ರೈಟ್ ಅಪ್ ಅಥೆಂಟಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ. ಇಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ನಾವು ನವಗ್ರಹ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೊನೆಯ 3 ಗ್ರಹಗಳನ್ನು ಒಂಥರ ಅಷ್ಟು ಆಸ್ಪಿಷಿಯಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಥರ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವಿ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಪ್ಲೂಟೋಗೆ ಇದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯಿತು, ಅದನ್ನು ಗ್ರಹಸ್ಥಾನ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಕೇತು ನೀನು ನಿನ್ನ ಇದನ್ನು ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಅಂತೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ರೀಡರ್ಸ್ನ ಮೆಚ್ಚುಗೆಯ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಲೆಟರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ವು. ಅವ್ರು ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇತುಗೇನೋ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ನಂಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸರಿ ನೆನಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಟ್ಟು ಪ್ಲೂಟೋ ಗ್ರಹವನ್ನು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ, ಏನಯ್ಯ ನಿನಗೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಹೊಡಿತಿದ್ವಿ, ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಅರ್ಧ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರನೂ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಬಂತಲ್ಲ, ನೀನು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಥಾನ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲ, ಕುಬ್ಜ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅಂದರೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ವಿಷಯ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಹರಟೆನೂ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಲಲಿತ ಪ್ರಬಂಧ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನ್ಯಾನೋ ಕವಿತೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಚುಟುಕು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ರೀಲ್ಗಳು ಅದು ತುಂಬ ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಒಂದು 10-20 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು, ಆದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿರ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಈ ನಾಗೇಶ್ ಹೆಗಡೆ ಅವರು ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟಾಗಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಆದರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಬದಲಾಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ಕಸ್ತೂರಿಗಂತೂ ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನವರೆಗೂ ನಮಗೆ ಸುಧೀಂದ್ರ ಹಾಲ್ದೊಡ್ಡೇರಿ ಅವರಿದ್ರು, ಅವರ ಲೇಖನ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಗಝಿನ್ ಅಪೂರ್ಣ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅನಂತರಾಮ್ ಅವರಿದ್ರು, ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಶೈಲಜಾ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟೋರಿಯಂನಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಬರೀತಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಕಡ್ಡಾಯವಾಗಿ ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಲೇಖನ ಇರಲೇಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಸಂಚಿಕೆ ಅಪೂರ್ಣ ಅಂತ. ಕಳೆದ ತಿಂಗಳು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬರೆದಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಒಂಥರ ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ರೀಡರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದರೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಒಂದು ವಿದ್ಯಾಭ್ಯಾಸ ಹೊಂದಿರೋವಂಥವ್ರು, ಅವರು ಸಹಿತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿಸ್ಪಂದಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚೆಚ್ಚು ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಮೂಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ತಿಳಿದುಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕುತೂಹಲ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು ಕೇವಲ ಜನರಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್, ನಾನು ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದವಳು. ನಾನಿವತ್ತು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಒತ್ತು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನನಗೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ನಾನು ವರದಿಗಾರಿಕೆಗೆ, ಅದು HAL NAL ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ನನ್ನನ್ನೇ ಕಳಿಸ್ತಿದ್ರು, ನನ್ನ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದನೂ ನಾನು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ. ನೀವು ಮಾತ್ರ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಆಸಕ್ತಿನ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಒಂದು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕರಿಯರ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ್ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರ ಜಾಣ ಸುದ್ದಿಯ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಲಿಸನರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರದ್ದೊಂದು ಆಡಿಯೋ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆ ಅವರು ತರ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಜಾಣ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟೆಷ್ಟು ಕುತೂಹಲಕಾರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಬಹಳ ಆಸಕ್ತಿಕರವಾದಂತಹ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಹೀಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಅಥೆಂಟಿಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಲೇಖನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸರಳ, ಡೈಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಆದರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸರಳ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರು ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನು ಓದ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಮೂಲ ಒಂದು ಅದರ ಏನು ಅರ್ಥ ಇದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಧಕ್ಕೆಯಾಗದ ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು ಆ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆಗ ಅದು ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ತಲುಪುತ್ತೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರು, ಶೈಲಜಾ ಅವರು ವಜ್ರದ ಒಂದು ರಹಸ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಜ್ರವೆಂಬ ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಲು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಲೇಖನ ಬರೆದಿದ್ರು ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ, ಈಗ ಒಂದು 3 months ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ ಕ್ಲಿಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈಡ್ ವರ್ಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಇಂಥ ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ರೈಟರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ರೂಪಾ ಅವರು ಬರ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನ್ರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ ನೀಡೋದು, ಮತ್ತಿನ್ನೊಂದು ಜನರಿಗೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಸರಳವಾಗಿ ತಲುಪಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದೊಂದು ಮಾರ್ಗ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಾಗಾರವನ್ನು ಆಯೋಜಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಗೆ, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಗೆ CEO ಅವರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಮೇಶ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಬಡ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ತುಂಬ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ. ನಾವು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸ್, ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸು, ಎಡಿಟೋರಿಯಲ್ ಇದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಎಡಿಟಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ಸು ಈ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದರೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ವರದಿಗಾರಿಕೆ ತುಂಬ ಅಪರೂಪ ಇದು ಮಾಡೋದು. ತಾವಿದ್ರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಯಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿಸಿರೋದು ಬಹಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್, ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ನಾನು ತಡವಾಗಿ ಬಂದರೂ ನಾನು ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿ. ಮಾಲತಿಗೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಯಿತು. ನಮ್ಮ ಸೆಕ್ರೆಟ್ರಿ ಸಂಘದ ಕಾರ್ಯದರ್ಶಿ ಅವರು ಮಾಲತಿ ಅವ್ರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತಡವಾಗಿ ಬಂದರು. ಅವರು ಪರಾಶರ್ ಸರ್ದು ಭಾಷಣ ಭಾಳ ಚೆಂದ ಇತ್ತು. ನೀವು ನನಗೆ ಅವರು ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಟುಡೇನಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ವಿಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿ ನಂಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು. ಸರ್, ತಾವು ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಇದನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೂ ಒಂದು ಸರಿ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸಿಟಿಲಿ ಬಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇವರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ. ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಸರ್. ತಾವು ಬಂದು ಇಂಥ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಒಂದು ಭಾಷಣ ಮತ್ತು ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿದಾಯಕವಾಗಿತ್ತು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಾತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಯ್ಯಪ್ಪನ್ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಒಂಥರ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಆದರೆ ಅವರ ಮಾತು ಏನೋ ಒಂಥರ ನನಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಣೇಶ್ ಅವರ ಮಾತಿನಷ್ಟು ಒಂಥರ ಭಾಳ ಒಂದು ಉಲ್ಲಾಸಭರಿತವಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು ಸರ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್ ತಮಗೂ ಕೂಡ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ರೂವಾರಿಯಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಗಾಲ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶವನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ತಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಹಾಗೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪುಲ್ಲಾ ಅವರಿಗೂ ನಾನು ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಮತ್ತು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರೂಪಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಸುಚೇತನಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಮಿಸಿರುವಂಥ ತಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಇಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಬಂದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಕಾಲೇಜಿನ ದಿನಗಳು ನೆನಪು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಇದು, ಈ ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿಯಾಯಿತು. ಏನು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಇಷ್ಟು ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್, ಇಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೇ ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿ. ಏನಂದರೆ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ನಂತರದ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಲೇ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಆದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯತೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನದ ಲೇಖನಗಳನ್ನು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಒಂದು ಏನು ನಾವು ಸ್ನಿಪೆಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಥರದ್ದನ್ನಾದರೂ ಸರಿ ನೀವು ರೀಲ್ಸ್ ಥರನೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. ತುಂಬ ಏನು ಪಾಪ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕೇವಲ ಬರೀಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತಲೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈಗಂತೂ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಬಹಳ ದೊಡ್ಡದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ ಅವಕಾಶ, ವಿಪುಲ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಸನ್ಸೆಟ್ ಟಿ ವಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಪರಾಶರ್ ಸರ್, ಇಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡಬೇಡಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಈ ಯುವ ಒಂದು ಏನೋ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನದ ಯುವ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಈ ಥರದ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ರಮೇಶ್ ಸರ್ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂದರೆ ಪರಾಶರ್ ಸರ್ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ಅಯ್ಯಪ್ಪನವ್ರ ಥರ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರು ಬಿಡಬೇಡಿ, ಹೋಗಿ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು. ಅಂದರೆ ದಿಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಹಾಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸೀಮಿತವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಚೌಕಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಹೊರೈಸನ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ಮುನ್ನುಗ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅವಕಾಶ ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಿಗಲಿ, ತಂತ್ರಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಿಗಲಿ, ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋದರೆ ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ನೀವು ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಇದಿರ್ಬೋದು. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ, ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆ, ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ಸು ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಮುಂಚೆ ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸುಚೇತನ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಬಹಳ ಕ್ಲಿಷ್ಟವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ರಿಪೋರ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಕ್ರೈಮು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತೂ ಬಹಳ ಬಹಳ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಲಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಅಭ್ಯಸಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಕೋರ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾನು ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ತುಂಬ ಕಡಿಮೆ, ಭಾಳ ಅಂದರೆ ಭಾಳ. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ರಜಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೈ ಆಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಆದರೆ ನೀವು ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು, ನಾನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ, ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಸುಷ್ಮಾ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವ್ರು, ನಾನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟೈಮ್ ತೊಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವ ಸರ್, ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ. ಸುಷ್ಮಾ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಚಿಕ್ಕವರು, ಎಲ್ಲ ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದು ಕೂತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಮಗೆ ಅವಾಗಿನ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, ಈಗಿನ ಥರ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಅವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗಿನ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳೋ ಅಂಥದ್ದು ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಶಿ ವಾಸ್ INB ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್, ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸರಿ ಕಣ್ಣು ಹಾಯಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಹೋದಾಗ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕ ಅವಕಾಶ. ಬೇರೆಯವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಲಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಶೂಟ್ ದ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಗ್ರ್ಯಾಬ್ ದ ಅಪಾರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ. ನನಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಹುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ನುಗ್ಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅದರೊಳಗೆ. ನಾನು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹೀಗೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ, ಆ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ತು ಇದನ್ನು ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕೀಗ ಅಂತ. ನಾನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದದು ಬಹುಶಃ LTTEಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಏನೋ ನನಗೆ ಸರಿ ನೆನಪಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಟ್ಟು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಟೆರರಿಸಮ್ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸ್ದಂಗೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅದು, ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಲಾ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸ್ದಂಗೆ. ನಾ ಕೇಳಿದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ನನಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು. ಮರುದಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಅದೇ ವಿಷಯ ಲೀಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅಂದರೆ ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿರೋದು ಬರೀ ನನ್ನ ಇದಕ್ಕಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಅದೇ ವಿಷಯ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಲೀಡ್ ಆದಾಗ ಅದು ಒಂಥರ ಖುಷಿ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ನಾವು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಅದು ನೀವು ಫೀಲ್ಡಿಗೆ ಇಳಿತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಆಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಏನು ಅಂಥೇಳಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಅವಕಾಶ ಬಂದರೂ ಆಯಿತು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಹೊರಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ. ಈಗಂತೂ ನಾವಾದರೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ತುಂಬ ಹೋಮ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಅಂಗೈಯಲ್ಲೇ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಹಾಕೋ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ರೆಫರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಬರೆಯೋವಾಗ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಕ್ರಾಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ವಿಷಯ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ವಂದನಾರ್ಪಣಾ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಲಾಂಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಲೇಟಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಕ್ಷಮೆ ಇರಲಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಸರ್.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಈಗಿನ ಮೊದಲನೆಯ ಈ ಉದ್ಘಾಟನಾ ಸಮಾರಂಭ ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಟೀ ಇದೆ, ಟೀ ಕುಡಿದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷಗಳ ನಂತರ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಸೇರೋಣ ಅಂತಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮುಂದಿನ ಸಮಾವೇಶದ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಅನುಮತಿ ಕೇಳಿಕೊಂಡು ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 12 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸೇರೋಣ. 1 ಗಂಟೆ ತಡ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ಆದಷ್ಟು ಸದುಪಯೋಗಪಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಈಗಲೇ ಒಂದು ಟೀಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಫೋಟೋ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡೋಣ, ಮತ್ತು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೀಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆ.
ಸರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಫಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಂ ಸರ್. ಎಂಟ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಎಂಟ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ.